Welcome to the coolest stuff on the planet.
Welcome to the coolest stuff on the planet. I'm Catherine, and joining me today is my new co-host, Sarah. Sarah, welcome.
Hey, Catherine, how are you today?
Oh, doing well. And what do you have there?
Well, Catherine, I have a nice can of Coca-Cola.
Wow, is that a coincidence, or does it have anything to do with today's topic?
Well, a little bit of both, I think.
Today we're going to go to the World of Coca-Cola, which is located in Atlanta.
You and I actually had a chance to go. This was not sponsored by Coca-Cola. We decided to go on our own.
That's right.
We realized it's a lot more than just an icon to Coca-Cola, but we got a chance to see how the brand developed over time and how it really became an icon to pop culture.
So there were many rooms there that you could visit. You could spend hours there, but we just wanted to point out 3 highlights. And the first one is the Milestones of Refreshments. And what this is a 10-gallery exhibit that takes you through the history of Coca-Cola. And one thing that I thought was really interesting was that the script on the Coca-Cola logo was the handwriting of Frank Robinson, the bookkeeper for James Pemberton, who invented Coca-Cola. In those days, nice handwriting was particularly prized, especially by bookkeepers, so they actually used that on the label.
And that logo hasn't changed in 125 years, and that really goes back to the idea of Coca-Cola and their invention of marketing. And back in the day, there was nothing like TV or radio to market a product, so they put their logo on everyday objects that people use. So they put it on things like dice and calendars, hat pins, matchbooks. So that's how they got their name across for people to
try the product, and that's how it became a national beverage.
And you can see a lot of those different items on display.
Absolutely. And another exhibit that we really liked was the Pop Culture Gallery, and this showed Coke as a pop culture icon throughout art. And the connection to Santa was something I really didn't know about, and I don't think you did either.
I didn't know that at all. I mean, I knew Coke used Santa in a lot of its advertising, but I didn't know the story behind it.
Yeah, and it's quite a story. They commissioned this artist to create Santa for some advertising. And before that, Santa was depicted all kinds of ways, sometimes skinny, sometimes looking haggard. And this artist came up with the concept of Santa as this nice, fat, jolly man. And this was during the Depression, so that really symbolized plenty and abundance, and people really took to that.
And this artist apparently used himself as a model for Santa, and we can thank the artist and Coca-Cola for this idea of Santa Claus that we still know today.
Yeah, and I assume the artist was a fat, jolly man, too.
Apparently. And also in the Pop Culture Gallery is a very small exhibit
Teensy-wincy.
dedicated to New Coke, the debacle when
they changed the formula and then they had to change it back because of the outcry.
So if you're not looking for it, you might miss it, but it's a small exhibit that shows a few internal memos and a couple of cans of New Coke and some newspaper clippings. So if you're not looking for it, you might miss it, but I was a little disappointed that we didn't get to taste New Coke because I did want to remember what it tasted like.
Exactly. And speaking of tasting, of course, one of the big reasons people go is to check out the products, and there's a huge area called the Taste It Gallery, and you can try more than 60 different Coca-Cola products in this area.
Yes, and we tasted all of them, I think.
We tried to.
Yes, we left with a little bit of a stomach ache, probably too much sugar, but
a little gassy.
Yes. One of my favorites was a product from England called Bitter Lemon. It was like a nice carbonated lemonade. It was actually very refreshing, not too sweet. I found that most of the carbonated beverages from all over the world are very sweet.
Yeah, sweeter than even here,
yes.
Some of them.
One from South Africa was called Candy Pine Nut Bibo. Tasted like a liquid piece of candy.
Wow.
Super sweet. And I know you had a favorite from Italy, right?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of this, well, this was on the other side, not so sweet, called the Beverly. And this one it was a combination of grapefruit and bitter, as they said, but it actually tasted more like licorice.
Like black licorice.
Yeah, it's pretty hideous.
It was very bad. We both did not like it at all.
No, and the attendant there was saying that is one of the most commented on flavors.
Yes. He wouldn't go so far to say it was the most disliked because he wouldn't even say what was the favorite or the most hated, but we think that it's the most hated.
I would
for
say
sure.
so.
It was awful.
It was pretty bad.
It
yeah.
was awful.
Yeah, and if you don't like any of those products that are out there, you can actually create your own. There's a section where you can go and create your own beverage and maybe put a couple things together that you might like.
Yeah, maybe it'll be the next Coke or
the next Beverly.
Probably the next Beverly. That's my bet's on the next Beverly. So. That wraps up our tour of the world of Coca-Cola, and you can find out more about the coolest stuff on the planet from our Facebook page, our blog, or follow us on Twitter. And you can get the addresses for all those at the end of the podcast.
And we'll see you next time on the coolest stuff on the planet.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit HowStuffWorks.com and let us know what you think. Email travelpodcast@HowStuffWorks.com. Don't forget to check out our other podcasts, free on iTunes.